Welcome to Live the Light, a show about personal growth through spirituality. And I'm your host, psychic, medium, and intuitive artist Nicole Bowman. And I want to thank you all so much for being a part of the show and for sharing your light with me. You can catch us the first of every month on Blog Talk Radio, on iHeartRadio, YouTube, and a variety of podcast channels. I'm going to put all of those links in the description so you can listen at your leisure. So, for those of you who have been following the show for a while, you may have noticed that I've been away for a bit. And I've been away because I've been working with a lot of clients privately, but I've also been writing a lot of articles and doing a lot of interviews on psychic development and just our growth as a people and this change we're seeing on planet Earth. So that's why I've been away. But luckily and hopefully, we'll be able to have more podcasts this fall. So today I want to talk about something that's been on my heart for a while. And before we move into it, I just want to focus and set this intention so we have the energies right. So I just want to surround us with the light of the Holy Spirit. And I pray that I'm a channel for divine truth. And the information from this podcast is a blessing and it gives us clarity and it allows us to have peace and strength and bravery and we move forward. And it's so. Amen. Yes, I have been thinking very deeply about Breonna Taylor. And most of you obviously know who Breonna Taylor was, whether you're in the United States or whether you're abroad. And I should rather say who Breonna Taylor is, because she is still very much alive and she still is very much here with us. But Breonna Taylor is a young woman who was murdered by the police in her sleep in her apartment with her boyfriend in the apartment and other neighbors living in that apartment complex. And there have been a lot of questions about whether or not there is going to be justice for Breonna, about whether or not, these officers will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. What's going to happen? And why did this happen? Why now? And why did it happen to Breonna? Right. So I'm going to tap into that psychically and see what spirit has to say, and also just offer any guidance and advice and information in the month coming forward that spirit may want us to know. So the first thing I want to talk about, and this is something that I've touched on before when I've done videos for Nipsey Hussle and Selena, different celebrity readings, but looking at them from more of a spiritual lens and a spiritual perspective. And even though obviously Brianna was not necessarily a celebrity, she has in many ways become a public figure and she has in many ways become a symbol of Black women and Black women needing to be protected and really seeking justice. So when I do these readings for people that are public figures, that they're world known or world renowned, if you want to use that phrase, part of the reason why their presence, their death, their life is so public is because their soul mission and their soul contract is connected to and tied into millions, if not billions, of people. Brianna's mission was global. Her mission was absolutely to make this world a better place. It feels like it was to be a role model for young women and girls, but it was also to help people heal and to give people hope. And she could have done that in any field, but she chose to do that in the helping profession, in the caring field. She was actually a frontline worker, right? So just in and of itself, just in that, she fulfilled a major part of her mission because she was truly helping others and she was truly making a difference. And she really had a sincerity, not just to better herself, but to make the world a better place. But I want to tap in and cycle back to soul missions and soul contracts. A soul mission is what you're here on this planet to do. A soul contract is a contract you have with other souls or other people on this planet in order to fulfill that mission. And so Brianna's mission was helping. Her mission was elevation. Her mission was inspiring people and giving people a healthy sense of self-esteem and hope and confidence and inspiring them to really see the good in people. Because she really did see the good in people. She really did want to help. She was going to do that on a massive level, one way or the other. And so Spirit is definitely saying that she fulfilled her mission on many levels when she was physically here. And even after her transitioning physically, she will continue to fulfill her mission because I feel that her mother will continue that mission for her. Right. But I want to step into and tap into why this is happening now and will she get justice and what we need to know about this. Now, the reason why Brianna and people like Brianna and George Floyd, and Ahmaud Arbery, the reason why these acts of violence, whether this be vigilantes, whether this be police brutality, the reason why these acts of violence are coming to the forefront now and getting filmed and getting recorded and being placed on the news is because we're at a unique space in our American history. We're at a space where we can grow, evolve, and elevate, where we can get rid of the xenophobia, the hatred, the misogyny, the classism, the racism, the structural racism. We as a people can help to get rid of that and dismantle that and be the people we say we are, or we can de evolve and we can regress. And so there are certain souls who are helping to elevate that and are helping to bring that to the forefront. And what I see with Breonna is even when she was physically here, she was doing that. And people might say, well, was she an activist? Was she on the front lines of something? What are you talking about? But here's the thing, sometimes you elevate and you help others and you inspire others just by being who you are, just by being on target and living out your purpose. And what I'm seeing is that her life was a blessing to so many people. She gave so many people hope when she was physically here, that she was already living out that message and already living out that mission, even if she weren't necessarily a celebrity or famous or anything of that nature. And so this is also a message to those of you who are listening, that you don't have to be on a global scale or a national scale or even on a local scale in order to impact and make a difference. You can make a difference in your family. You can make a difference in your day to day life. You can make a difference in your community, just in your little neighborhood. And so it's about making the world a better place where you can. But part of it is, it's about us starting to elevate and recognize these injustices and recognize these wrongs. And it's also as Americans coming to terms with our original sin, which is slavery and the genocide of the Native Americans, right? So we have to focus on that. We have to look at that. And we have to look at that head on. That's actually what Standing Rock was about many, many years ago. So a similar thing in nature, right? But to get back to Brianna, it's about us looking at our original sin of slavery, looking at how our country in some respects was built on human trafficking, right? And beginning to reckon with that and beginning to say, never again, we're not going to do this. This is not who we are. And we're going to make this right and we're going to right this wrong. Okay. So that's what this is. When I look at what happened with her and the tragedy that happened, not just for her, but for her mother, for her boyfriend, for the people who lived in that building with her, and all the people also that loved her and knew her. The reason also why this is so public is because the police force that handled this situation, and Spirit is saying in many respects they mishandled it, and they went into the situation knowing rather they knew that they were doing wrong and they chose to do wrong anyway. This was not a singular occurrence. There have been many Breonna Taylors who have gone through this with this particular police force. They have a history of hiding evidence. They have a history of planting evidence. They have a history of withholding evidence in order to make a case stick. And what's happening now is that because they have not been adhering to the law, spiritual law is coming in to uncover their hypocrisy, to uncover the illegal things that they've done, and to uncover the lies and all the cover up that's on this particular police force and this particular precinct. Because what I get from Spirit very, very strongly around this is that Breonna Taylor is just the tip of the iceberg. If they uncover things, they're going to see a lot of corruption within this particular system, within this particular police force, and that's going to come to the surface. The challenge and the issue, though, is that because there are so many people that are hiding, whose jobs are on the line, maybe even whose lives are on the line, there are a lot of people who know more than what they're saying within the system that are not talking. And so when we ask about will there be justice for her, I don't feel like there'll be justice right away because there's just so many cover-ups. And so it's almost like every time you open a box, it's another box and another box and another box. But what it's doing, at least, and this is the positive aspect of it, is it's shining light on the hypocrisy of things that happen in the police force in general, but specifically this force, because I am seeing that they are very corrupt. They've done this to people before. Breonna Taylor is not the first victim of this. And even if we move past her particular case and look at cases where they planted evidence, withheld evidence, lied about evidence. There's a lot of corruption going on where there are people that may have been unfairly sentenced. There are people in jail that shouldn't be there, or there are people who should have been for shorter sentences versus longer sentences. So there's a lot of corruption in the underbelly here that has yet to meet to the surface. And it's actually this situation with her who's bringing a lot of that out. So this is why Spirit is saying the situation with Breonna is really just scratching the surface of an underbelly of much, much bigger corruption. It's interesting. I don't know if you can hear, but right outside of my door, because I'm recording this at home, there's a cat who is meowing and crying as I'm talking. And it's interesting because I typically like to do podcast in one take. I don't like to edit and chop up too much. But I do notice that certain sounds and certain things, when it comes into the recording, I don't know if you can hear it or not, that's really Spirit speaking. And when we talk about animals and their symbolism, cats are actually the doorway to the spirit world, the doorway to another dimension. For many people, depending upon their religious beliefs and things, specifically people who may practice some form of African spirituality or people that do goddess worship, for some people they feel that the cat represents Isis, the goddess Isis, right? And I think that that's fitting when we're talking about someone like Brianna, who really embodied a beautiful, sweet, kind goddess energy and a mother energy too, a motherly energy as well, you know. And I just like, take a moment to continue to wish her a peaceful transition, as she continues to move through the upper spirit levels to the other side and continues to move through her transition, and make her peace. But getting back to the police force and getting back to all of the things that have happened, I don't feel like there'll be justice right away. Now, over the next 1, 2, 3 years, this case is going to be in and out of the media. So I feel like you're going to hear bits and pieces that are going to slowly be uncovered. So it'll be a little piece of evidence here, a little piece of evidence here, an inconsistency there, an inconsistency there. So more information is going to come out to help us to understand that that particular police force and the way that that task force executed things was not the right way. More information will come out about that. But if I'm looking at justice in a legal sense, I really don't see that happening for a very, very long time. And I even feel like there might be a situation of this case having to be closed and then reopened, is what Spirit is making me feel. So Spirit is just saying to know and understand that. But I will say, as painful as it is, because we often want the legal justice, there is going to be a spiritual justice. There is definitely going to be a spiritual justice that we are going to see and we're going to feel. And I just want to talk very quickly before we close about some of the officers involved. I believe there was somebody presiding over the case that wasn't going to bring certain level of charges. His name is in my mind. He's a black gentleman, but I don't know what his name is. When I zero in on him, um, this is about how what we send out into the world does come back. Now, on the outer surface, people may not think or feel that this man is going to suffer in any way. I do see him moving up through his career. I do see a lot of positive things happening for him career wise. But the thing is, in order to do it, he has to keep selling his soul. He has to keep selling a piece of himself. And right now, he doesn't look like what he's been through, but in time, he will. I also see, and once again, this is not me trying to drum up controversy. I'm just saying psychically what I see. I feel like he's going to have some serious issues in his personal life, and there may be some serious health issues down the road because he's not facing the truth of situations. And sometimes that's what happens when you lie, when you cheat, when you're dishonest. That energy festers. And if you don't atone for what you've done and atone for the things that you've said and the way that you treated people, that energy can fester and grow and implode upon you and your life. And I firmly feel that's what's going to happen to him. Now, I want to talk about the main officer in the Breonna Taylor case. Once again, like the names of these people escape me, so I may put their names in the description if I can remember, maybe not. But there's also a white gentleman who is the main officer that's involved in this, and his face has kind of been everywhere. I see him having a nervous breakdown. Not to say that he doesn't already have mental health issues. Spirit is actually making me feel this is somebody who really never should have been in the police force to begin with, or in any sort of position where he's an authority, a manager, or has some sort of level of a hierarchy where he's on top, because he's too emotionally unstable to be able to carry out and execute his job. But I see him having what feels like a severe mental and emotional breakdown and imploding because he refuses to be accountable and he refuses to be honest about his actions and behavior and how he's hurt Breonna and countless other people. When I'm looking at some of the other officers in it, I see varying degrees of things. I see one of them is going to have, there's some sort of an addiction issue. It almost feels like it might be alcoholism or something like that. But what Spirit is saying as a whole is that on the surface, it may not appear like these people are exactly paying. But if we go behind the lines and we look into the spirit and we look into what's happening emotionally and in their personal lives, their lives are actually imploding. Now, they may try to make it look like things are great and do that for social media and laugh it up and live it up. But the truth of the matter is they're spiritually bankrupt and they are imploding. And I do see Breonna Taylor's mother carrying on the fight for her, carrying on justice. I feel her joining hands with other mothers who have lost their children, their grandchildren to gun violence, police brutality, white supremacy. So she's going to come together. I definitely feel her joining hands with Trayvon Martin's mother. They're going to work together in some capacity. I keep seeing potentially Tamika Mallory. They're going to work together in some capacity. So I do see around Breonna Taylor's mother this energy of activism, where this situation, while it has broken her in a lot of ways, she wants to live and work for Brianna, and she really wants to create change. And she says she wants to do it for the little black girls. She wants to do it for the little brown girls. So, that is what I am seeing for Breonna Taylor. So, will there be justice in the legal sense? Not exactly. There's going to be some to a degree, but I see this justice being more on a spiritual level and a spiritual plane, and more in imploding and almost destroying the lives of the people who destroyed Breonna's, right? And here's the thing, and people don't realize this, you cannot outrun the universe, and you cannot outrun what you have done to others and what you have done to yourself. Eventually, that energy comes back to collect. And in our human mind, when things like this happen, maybe we want to see that suffering or that justice on a grand scale that where we feel vindicated. But that's not always the way that spirit does it. That's not always the way spirit allows it. But trust and believe, and I'm saying this from doing countless readings for people, that payback always comes. It always comes. It doesn't always come in this physical life. Sometimes it comes in the afterlife. And that's a bitter pill at times to swallow. But this case with Brianna, it's going to be revisited. This isn't done. This isn't over. And I'm even hearing like a decade out, right? So there's going to be some level of justice, maybe not to the level of what we want, however, right? Because I see something about this case being revisited or reopened on some level. So that's what Spirit is telling me. I just want to connect and tap in and see if they have any more messages for us. One of the things they say is to live like Brianna did. In some respects, her life that she lives was very simple in a way sometimes, but she had her career, she had love in her life, she was a good person, and she tried to do good and right by other people. And at the end of the day, that's all you really need. Use those examples as models. And if you have young girls in your life, especially young women, especially Black women of color in your life, protect them, be there for them. Do not let them carry the emotional weight and the emotional burden of everything, especially if they're children, right? Protect them, shield them, cover them. That is so important. I will be coming back, obviously, with more podcast. This month of October, really take care of yourself. I still see this COVID raging in different parts of the United States, and it's made a resurgence in Europe already. So, if it's within your ability to wear a mask and to social distance, please do so to take care of your life, to save your life and the lives of those you love. And try not to get into the panic and hysteria you will see on the news media, because between now and October 31st, there's going to be a lot of it. I see there might be what feels like some other riot going on somewhere, because I was seeing fire. And so, if you're able to stay indoors, stay with your family, take care of yourself, that's going to be the best use of your time and your energy. Also, for reading some more, you can visit me at NicoleBowman.biz, and definitely visit my online store. I have t shirts, sweatshirts, and facial masks with positive affirmations for the soul. And also a lot of interviews and on air interviews coming up soon that I'll be posting as well. All those links are in the description. Always remember to live your light, live your bliss, and love yourself. Take care, guys.